In Need for Speed: The Run, characters play a bigger role than ever before. But in reality, everything else takes a backseat to the real stars of the game, the cars.
Cars. I got covered.
We have just a huge variety of cars in the game. If you're a big fan of muscle cars, or you're a fan of exotic cars from Europe, or even more of the higher top end, like supercars like Paganis and Bugattis and stuff like that.
We have kind of 50, 60 cars. What we really thought about when we chose the cars though was, we didn't just want like the normal version of a car, we wanted to give you like the cool version of that car or the upgraded version of that car. So a really good example is the BMW M3. We gave you the M3 GTS. So we always go for like a slightly cooler version, the one that is even, I guess, less achievable in real life, but also more cool to drive.
The cars that characters drive throughout the game often reflect their own personalities and traits. Jack's car, for example, is the Shelby GT500 Super Snake.
We want to have this edgy kind of character that was kind of rough and tough looking. I think the Shelby itself has this very aggressive looking car. A lot of things where we put Jack and the Shelby together, they really feel good together.
Okay, got it.
Perhaps one of the most anticipated cars to be featured in Need for Speed: The Run is the Porsche Carrera 911S.
Porsche is a huge partner of ours, licensor, that we were able to work with them and get, before anybody had ever seen it, get the specs and model for the 2012 911.
We had to keep it under wraps. We actually had the car in game, but under a different name, and in the same way they do in real life, where they put the kind of the camo and the disguise over the top of it. We did the same in game, just to make sure nobody could take the screenshots of it or release it early.
Very limited audience of people that could actually see those pictures and work with them. I mean, I'm the executive producer, and I wasn't allowed to look at it until the car was essentially done. So we had really, really tight security and restrictions around who could see the car. As we were building the car in development, we had to get it in the game and see it. We actually didn't even finish it until the last second. We had sort of placeholder textures all over it, so no one could really tell what it looked like until it was actually revealed. It was pretty cool.
Porsche's huge. It has a huge legacy in terms of some of the best, fastest, most nimble, awesome cars you can get in the world. So anytime you can have a car like that in your game, your community is going to get excited about it, no doubt.
We literally plug all the stats in, so we get the stats from the manufacturers, plug them into our tool, and basically what comes out the other end is like a real representation of the car. We're really kind of detailed about the stats. We have lots of fanatical guys who really care about that kind of thing on a team. We even care about things like weight balance, weight transfer, where the weight of the car is it in the rear end, the front end of the car, just so that the consumer really feels that, and we get the characteristics of a Porsche coming through in the game.
The cars, from a handling perspective, handle the way you would expect these cars would handle it. It's not a simulation racer, obviously it's an action arcade racing adventure, but we wanted to make sure that these cars did have a believable handling and feeling.
Most of our consumers haven't driven these cars, most of us haven't really driven these cars, but we all imagine how they'd feel. Like, we imagine how a Porsche would feel, and we try and create that as close as we can, so we meet people's perception of what that car would feel like in real life.
Justin Weeb is the game director for Need for Speed: The Run, and he plays a vital role in the overall planning of the game.
Some of the big challenges we face is obviously just content, scope of the game. You know, we always want to do everything, but we can't, right? We have to pick our battles. We need to make sure that we're very focused on what we can build and make sure that we're only taking on as many things as we can drive to quality. Very early on in the production, this is the game. Basically, using Excel, I went down and I mapped out the game 30 seconds at a time. So this is like a player playing through the game, and it's outlining all the different experiences that they're going to have as they play. I then take that information and translate it over here, and this is more, it's almost like a comic book style where you can kind of walk through the experiences and say, okay, well, we're going to be at this track, these are the main things that are going to happen. You're going to see a new driver, he's going to hit you from behind, spin you out, and now you've got to try to pass him. You've got 2 minutes to do it. And so as you look at how we're breaking down more of the meta structure of the game, you know, hour by hour, this is 30 seconds, this is in hours, right? And that's where you start to cycle through and look at what's the inspiration, does the team understand, you know, this is what we're trying to build, this is the experience we want to have, these are the highs and lows of your driving experience as you're racing from coast to coast. This is looking at one race, right? And so this example here, it looks like a big mess, but it's actually the experience you're having in Chicago, where the mob catches up to you for the first time and they're trying to take you out of the run. So you can see we've got all these different moments that happen as you're racing through the race. from cop speech, you know, what are the cops saying, to the helicopter starts shooting at you here. Then for game logic, you know, okay, you hit a checkpoint, but also visual inspiration. Okay, we want this to be by the river. You're driving through Lower Wacker of Chicago. It's the first time Need for Speed is in the real world. All of the locations people will be able to recognize, relate to. We've never had the technology to do it until we got our hands on the Frostbite 2 engine. Now we can create that racing game, and we can layer on that action-adventure portion that we've been just wanting to build for quite a while.